Hi, I'm Cailey, a librarian here at Mentor Public Library.
And I'm Meg, also a librarian, and welcome to this week's edition of All Booked Up with Cailey and Meg, where each time we give you different book recommendations on a specific theme. So today is April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. We thought in the spirit of today, we'd give you a couple book recommendations to give you a laugh.
Yes, all of these humorous titles today are available for you here at the library or online with your library card for free from Libby and Hoopla.
All right, Cailey. So what is your first book to make me laugh?
Well, my first book is called How to Be Perfect, The Correct Answer to Every Moral Question by Michael Schur. Okay, so I know that doesn't sound super funny, but you might recognize his name. Michael Schur was the creator of the sitcom The Good Place. He's also worked, he was the co-creator of Parks and Recreation. He worked on The Office, a lot of comedy shows that we know and love.
Great.
And so this book is a sort of mix of philosophy and ethics, but has a very healthy dose of humor in the mix. And you might not think philosophy and ethics are super funny, but if that's the case, then you probably didn't watch The Good Place, because that's a lot of the premise of The Good Place. But in fact, working on the show, The Good Place, is sort of how this book got started, because Schur was diving into a lot of philosophy and ethics questions as part of the storyline for The Good Place, and found that there were still a lot more to be discussed and addressed. So that's where this book came from. And I will say too, I read that the audiobook version of this has some of the voice acting done by the actors from the show The Good Place. So if you're a fan of that. Wow. But this book tackles a lot of philosophy questions, ethics type things, hard questions like, should I punch my friend in the face for no reason? Spoiler alert, the answer is no. Do I have to return my shopping cart? I think the answer to that one is yes.
Yes.
But he backs everything up with big philosophy studies. He references a lot of the big names that you might know from philosophy and ethics, going from like Aristotle to Kant. And he does this all with a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor. And if you're familiar with shows like The Office and Parks and Recreation, a lot of it is like that sort of sarcastic, sort of ridiculous type humor. Yeah. So if you're familiar with that, you will definitely catch that in this book. And so this one is just, it's a different read, I think, but it's a surprisingly funny one.
Sounds fantastic. Full disclosure, I have not yet seen The Good Place, but I have seen those other shows you mentioned, and I love those. So I'm sure I would love The Good Place as well.
I think you would. It's got a lot of humor in it. It's super fun.
Nice. I love it. And I also like the idea of, those can be the issues he's talking about, like ethics and all that. Those can potentially be very serious issues that you can, I don't know, be anxious about, worry about.
Absolutely,
so to make that funny, I mean, what could be better? I love taking something that could be taken in one way and making it more lighthearted, something we can laugh about as we all deal with these things that we have to think about. So
yes,
very nice. So my first humor book is one based on an Instagram account that I find very amusing. And the title of the book is called Subpar Parks, America's Most Extraordinary National Parks and Their Least Impressed Visitors.
I read about this book.
Yeah. So I love the idea of, so first of all, this is by Amber Share, and she's the person who started the Instagram account. And I love this because the Instagram account takes all these national parks that are lauded. People go on and on about them all the time. You have to visit the Grand Canyon, all these places, and shares the horrible reviews that, snooty, unimpressed visitors have of them. I love it. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you ever go on Yelp to like a restaurant review, and like, all the reviews are great. And then there's that one person who writes a 5-paragraph long reason why they hate, I don't know, the fries at a certain place. I love the idea of taking places that are loved, and kind of just poking fun at them a little bit. And kind of in a way, it makes me want to visit these places even more.
Oh, sure.
Because I've never been to a lot of these national parks. There's really beautiful illustrations in there as well, and kind of joke posters about some of the reviews. For example, for Yellowstone National Park, someone said, save yourself some money, boil some water at home. So, just little things to make you laugh, and think deeper about some of these places. Honestly, I've heard of Yellowstone National Park, hadn't given it much thought in my life. So I'm learning something and laughing at the same time. So it's a super fun book just to go through. You don't have to read it all at once. Take your time with it, learn about some new places, and just laugh.
I love that. I think that there's always those really funny ones where it's like, it's a review of the Grand Canyon and they're just like, it's a hole.
Right.
Really big hole.
What's the big deal, right?
Yes, I enjoy those too. So my next book is called Bring Your Baggage and Don't Pack Light by Helen Ellis.
Okay.
And this one is also nonfiction. It's a collection of essays, sort of memoir style essays from this author. I had initially read the book American Housewife from her, which is a collection of short stories, and was very much like poking at the traditional housewife norm, which is why I was kind of excited to see that she was venturing into more essay form. And this is her latest title, which focuses a lot on her and her family and a lot of her friends. She has some long-term friends that she takes a trip with in one essay and talks about how they've all changed over the years, but how they're still the same. There's essays about family life and marriage after many years, aging in, that there's one called like, Are You There, Menopause? And so it's got a lot of lighthearted humor. Ellis herself is like a self-described Southern lady, but she says that, her humor is not always appropriate to the Southern lady. Oh. So there's definitely some humor thrown into that too. It's a short collection. There's only 12 essay stories in here, so you can read it in an afternoon, maybe one of those like rainy days, or, just something to read little bit by bit. A lot of these essays are very relatable, very honest. She talks about her parents like downsizing and moving out of their house and the generations worth of stuff that they have along the way. And it's just got a lot of humor and a lot of heart. She has been compared to Nora Ephron, David Sedaris, some other great essayists as well. So I think that gives it some praise too, just to have that in there. And you can kind of feel that like Ephron inspired vibe in this story.
Ooh, very interesting. I'm curious about that one. I love funny stories, just kind of about life, family like that. I heard somewhere once where some of the funniest things in life aren't even jokes or movies that we watch, but just kind of the interactions we have with people, like the inside jokes we gather with people as we know them over time, and stories that kind of capture that, interactions between generations and families. I don't know. It's just kind of a heartwarming type of humor to me. I enjoy that. Sure. Yeah. So my last humor book is called The World's Worst Assistant by Sona Movsesian. And Sona is the sidekick, so to speak, of Conan O'Brien. So she was his personal assistant for like 12 years. Now she does a podcast with him. And she's also a self-described good-natured teaser. So it's a really fun nonfiction book that kind of it combines a couple different elements. So there are actually how-to elements in this book, but they're funny. So the how-to includes how to nap at work, and how to watch TV at your desk. But then it also includes these really touching personal stories of how she met Conan, different anecdotes from working on his TV show, and kind of how, which this is another part I really liked, how she moved from being at the start of her career super serious and justifiably to like progress your career and things like that. But but kind of like how working more on the show, she became more of a title holder for the worst in history, but that's a good thing because she learned to relax and not be so uptight about a lot of stuff, not carry the weight of the world on her shoulders, which, you know, I think can be pretty relatable. So I really found her very likable throughout this book. She has a very self-deprecating form of humor, but it was just fun to go into. I think she has the funnest job in the world. I just think it'd be fun to just make podcasts, follow a funny talk show host around all the time. I don't know. It just sounds really fun, really fast paced. And she seems like a genuinely kind person too. So it was really fun.
Yeah, I feel like you can't work for funny people without having a really good sense of humor yourself.
Right, exactly.
Like,
so
you just can't. So that one sounds fun. I'd be interested in seeing that, especially after that long working for him.
Yeah.
I'm sure she has some good behind the scenes stories.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's amazing. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us this April Fool's Day. We hope you can find some lighthearted moments today and maybe even read some of our books, which we think are going to make you laugh for sure.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Happy reading.